There is a clear before and after when you start making six figures in annual revenue in your business. Welcome to episode 202 of the Fully In It podcast. On today's episode, I want to talk to you about the most pivotal shifts I see for creating 100,000 or more annually in your business. This is about more than just the income. It's about who you become as a mom and a CEO as you grow into your next level. If you're ready for some serious motivation and insight into the shifts that will change the game for you, let's go ahead and jump right in. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? Hello. How is it going with you? How has this week been going so far for you? We are rounding the bend on the end of the year, which is so wild to me. I have lots of thoughts around, ending a year well, making sure that you're getting plenty of time with your family, and then prepping appropriately for the next year, both in business and in home life. I think leading really well in both of those require a higher level of thinking, planning, and execution, which are all things that we're going to be talking about on the podcast over the next few months. So buckle up. There's going to be a lot of really great content coming your way. And all of this is so important because it really sets you up to create what it is you want in your business for the family life that you dream of. For me personally, I am also thinking about how I want my own end of year to go and also what I want next year to look like. It has been so good this year to kind of slow down. I had my fourth baby earlier this year, and I really gave myself permission not to push hard, to take a good 10 weeks off of maternity leave. And then even when I came back, I've just, done it in a very slow and intentional way. And now that I'm rounding that bend into the new year, right? And I'm thinking about, okay, what is going to be coming in 2026? I'm feeling the pull to step it back up again. I'm thinking through what I want to offer. I actually have some really cool brand new things in the hopper that I'm working through right now. And I can't wait to share more about those soon, but they're new. It's stuff I've never done before. And I'm really kind of giving myself that push, especially on one of these projects, to do something that I've thought about for years. And so let that encourage you that no matter where you're at in business, there will always be another level that you can go after. There will always be more opportunities. You don't have to do everything in your first year or your third year or your fifth year. I'm in my seventh year of business and I still haven't done everything I want to do. Now, part of this is just pacing ourselves as mom entrepreneurs because it is so crucial that you put your family first. And sometimes that means moving more slowly. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into today's topic, which is the shifts that I see as being so crucial for making that first 100,000 annually in business and then maintaining it and also growing from there. When I was going for my first 100K year, there were some changes that I made that I saw as just being so necessary to create it. And they're going to be a little bit different than what you may expect, right? We typically think, okay, give me the strategy. I want to know what were the things that you did that created it. But here's the thing is that every single business is so different. So what worked for me strategy-wise, it may be different for you, and you may have a completely different business model than me or from the next mom who is running a business. And so these kind of shifts that I'm going to be sharing with you are ones that work across all industries, all types of business models, because it has more to do with you. Because you are the one who is leading this forward. You are the one who can get your business to that 6-figure mark and beyond. This is available to you. And so the first shift I really want to talk about is that commitment to it. Not everybody wants to go for 6 figures in a year. It's just not, it may not be important to one person over another, but if it's important to you, if you see this as something that is in your future, you want to check your commitment to it. When I was going for my first 6-figure year, I got to a point where I just decided it was happening no matter what. I was 100% committed, like 110% committed, like this is going to happen. There is no plan B. And I still had to manage that with having little kids and, home life. Like it wasn't like I went into full-on hustle mode or anything like that. It was more what was happening internally within me. There was a very clear before and after of me stepping into that identity of someone for whom 6 figures is just not a big deal. So I want you to really check with yourself. If you have been saying, I want to make 6 figures in business, that's been on your mind, how committed are you? Are you in a state of no return where you are going for it no matter what? Maybe 2026 is going to be your year where you cross that 6-figure mark in business. Or maybe you're even farther along in business and it's going to be your $500,000 year. I don't know what it is for you, but again, these shifts are applicable at all levels. So that's the first one, is really committing and being 100% in it to hit that level. The second one is paying attention to your words, how you communicate to yourself, about yourself, and to other people. It's really interesting if you pay attention to your thought patterns and also your speaking patterns. You may notice that there's certain things that you say over and over again, that you think over and over again. For me, early on in my business, one of the things I had to work through was that I'm so overwhelmed and I don't have time for this. Those two thoughts as a mom entrepreneur were very strong for me, and they may be for you too. And so becoming aware of what are the things that I repeat, and is this actually helping me or is this harming me? What would happen if you removed those words from your thoughts and your vocabulary and replaced it with something more supportive? So when I think of like the phrases like I'm so overwhelmed or I'm so tired or I don't have enough time, they feel very true. And sometimes they are a bit true, right? It is true. You may feel overwhelmed or you may feel tired or you may feel like you don't have enough time. And also, when you think those thoughts, it creates a reaction in your body and you start to feel a certain way. So if I'm really nurturing that thought of like, gosh, I just don't have enough time, it feels like the minutes are speeding by. It feels like more things are on my plate. And consequently, it makes it really hard to do what I need to do. Versus if I can shift into a new way of interacting with my time or a new way of seeing my home and what's on my plate, or even a new way of seeing myself as a leader in home and business who is capable of handling all of those things, suddenly I have more energy, I have more capacity, and I have more time, right? All of those things expand with a different set of beliefs. So that's one part of it. It's like you have to become really aware of your own thought patterns and your own word patterns. But then the next one is, what are you saying to other people about yourself? Do you put yourself down? Are you self-critical, self-judgmental? Are you taking your negative thoughts and that's like your main way of communicating with other people, is just sharing all of these things and kind of like dumping on other people? It drags you down and it changes the way that you show up in the world when you operate from that place. I want you to imagine how your relationships would change if you shifted how you communicate, if you shifted into speaking as someone who makes six figures in her business while showing up as the mom she wants to be. Like, imagine that version of you. How would she communicate? Right? It would be so different, And so maybe you write these thoughts down. You really reflect on that version of you and how she would show up. The final part of watching your word is sticking to your commitments and your promises. This was a big one for me. So pre six figures and then after six figures, I noticed a big shift in myself, and that was being a woman of my word. So before I had hit that number and before I was going for it, I had no qualms about changing my mind. I had no issue with backing out of things. I had no problem giving up. And it negatively impacted my relationships with myself and with other people. I didn't always trust myself to do what I said I was going to do, and that negatively impacted my confidence. So I knew that someone who can create six figures or more a year in business is a woman of her word and her commitments. And so that was something I worked on pretty diligently, was okay, if I say I'm going to do something, I have to do it. I need to do it. I need to follow through. Now, does that mean you will always do things perfectly? No. I still drop balls here and there because I'm a human and I have a human brain and I make mistakes. But just making that shift into being someone who keeps your word is so insanely powerful. It will change so much for you. The next one is being diligent with your time. Your time is one of your greatest assets when you are trying to make more money, and using up more of your time doesn't necessarily create more money, right? So like we sometimes have this erroneous belief that more time equals more money. Like if I hustle harder, I will make more money. Sometimes that can be true, but I'm always curious if that person could have created that same amount of money with putting less time in, if they shifted the quality of the work that they were doing with the time that they had, right? It's like kind of mind-blowing to think about. And so as a mom, you do have limited time. And so when you show up to your work blocks, are you in full-on CEO mode? Are you ready to go? Do you know what you're working on? Do you have an action plan? And are you ready to hit it? Right? So it's like, as moms, we don't really have the time to just kind of like show up to our work block and like, I don't know what I should do. I don't know what I should work on. And so part of that shift for me going into my first 100K year was knowing what I'm working on, having a game plan months, even a year ahead of time. I love planning out a year of business at a time. If you come into the Family Fueled CEO Mastermind, this is part of the work that we do, because it takes some of that pressure off of you to always be figuring it out. When you are stuck in figuring it out mode all the time, you're using up your precious time and energy instead of just following a predetermined plan that you have decided is what will get you to your next income level. And you decide, and then it gives you so much more confidence and peace and calm, because again, you're not trying to like figure it out every single day. So be diligent with your time. Make the most of what you have, and also recognize that the time you take off of your business is just as important as the time you put into your business. So when you are off your business, are you fully off of it? Are you allowing yourself to rest, to recover, and to be present with your family? This will really tie into one of the later shifts I'm going to share with you, but we'll get to that one in just a moment. The next one is showing up professionally and prepared. So whether that is just working at home, going to a networking event, being interviewed for someone else's podcast, or any kind of meeting that you do you feel professional in the way you are showing up? And for me, this looked like a couple of things. One, it looked like the way I was dressing and caring for myself. I didn't want to try to get to my first 6-figure year as a hot mess mom. Like, there's nothing wrong with working from home in your sweatpants, and like, there's no judgment about that. But for me, I knew that that didn't bring my best self forward. And so part of my shift was getting up every day, showering, getting ready, putting on makeup, putting on an outfit that helped me feel like the leader of a successful business. And I still do that. I am that person who I will not stay in like sweats or yoga pants all day. Not because there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but because of what it does for my own mental health and for my confidence to dress myself well. Shoot, like even my like the on-ramp to my first 6-figure year, I even hired a stylist. And that was just because I knew how much my image mattered, yes, to the people who would see me online in my content and videos and photos and all of that. I wanted to be professional, but also that image was just important to me and how I wanted to see myself when I looked in the mirror. This is especially important if you struggle with self-confidence. The way we see ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves, right? That really impacts our internal dialogue and how we show up in the world. And so if this is an area of growth for you, you want to ask yourself, okay, what are the shifts I feel called to make? Like maybe it's your wardrobe. Maybe your wardrobe does not reflect a successful entrepreneur. And you're ready to level up the way that you dress yourself or do your hair or do your makeup or the jewelry that you wear, or the shoes you put on your feet, any one of those aspects. It may just be time to shift that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know, especially for me, having gone through seasons of being pregnant and having, multiple children and breastfeeding, and my body shape has changed, and, it's bigger and then smaller. And then this is common for us women. Having clothes that fit, that feel really good. Again, it's just such a boost in my confidence. And I notice it really impacts my energy levels as well. The other aspect of this, of showing up professionally and prepared, is being ready for whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're showing up for a meeting with someone, have you prepared ahead of time? If you're going to be on someone's podcast, do you have your talking points prepared? Have you rehearsed if that's important to you? Do you, if you're going to a network event, do you know what your elevator pitch is going to be? Especially when you are making your way up toward that first 6-figure year, it is really helpful to rehearse, to practice, to know what you're going to say and not try to wing it. This is one of those things that I see happen because, we look at the people who are maybe online all the time and they look just so poised and they're just saying it like it comes out and you're like, wow, they're just winging it and they're totally killing it. The reason that they can is because they've been doing it for so long and they've had so much preparation and so much practice. So don't confuse your beginning with someone else's end, and don't be afraid to put in the work to be prepared and professional whenever you are going out in the world or you're getting on Zoom or whatever that may be. The next one that will make such a difference for you if you're not already doing this, or maybe you are doing this, but you want to take it more seriously and be more intentional about it, is taking care of your physical body. Your energy levels on a daily basis are really going to determine what you are capable of doing in your business and as a mom, because when you're holding both, you are juggling at such a higher level that to not have the energy levels you need is going to seriously restrict the income that you can make. It's going to make it more challenging for you. And so this can look different for every single person. Like what works for you is different from me. I don't like going to the gym. I'll just be totally honest. I'm not someone who enjoys going to it. And so for me, I find different ways to get my movement in. Like I like walking and jogging and doing like HIIT style workouts or dancing, anything that helps to raise my heartbeat and ultimately shift my energy, help me to feel stronger, help me to feel more confident. Those are kind of my go-to. But I have a client in my mastermind right now who has done 2 rounds of 75 hard, and she goes to the gym and she works with a trainer, and I have seen such a shift in her and how confident she is, and it's been really cool to see that. Taking care of your physical body though is about more than just exercise. It's about healthy movement as well. So movement is a much broader category of how you stand, how you sit, how you hold your body, how much are you resting during the day, how much are you moving about, and when you're moving, are you moving in ways that are supportive of your body's physical structure or not? So I think about this like, sitting in a chair all day is like really not great for our bodies. And so I try to move about a lot during the day. I will sit on the floor, I will squat, or I will lay down on the floor, or I will stand and work, or I will just change it up so that my body's not stuck in one stagnant position. Healthy movement results in a healthy body, and it also helps with a healthy mindset. So being aware of your movement, walking when you can walk, getting outdoors, all of this helps with overall how you feel. And while it's not like a direct correlation to making 6 figures, right? We could argue like, well, there's people who do all of this and they're not making that kind of money. Yeah, I get that. And also, it makes such a difference in how you feel. And when you feel good, you're more likely to show up powerfully to your business and create the results that you want to see. This also includes eating well, actually feeding yourself nourishing foods that give you the energy to do what you need to do. Are we just like noticing a pattern here? I'm like, we've got to nurture the energy because, as moms, we only have so much of it. I notice such a difference in how I feel based on how much protein I am getting. So if I start slacking in the protein department and not getting enough calories overall, especially as a breastfeeding mom, my energy goes in the toilet, and you don't want to turn to caffeine to fill that gap. So that's always a really good hack, is just, are you getting enough protein? Are you eating whole, real foods? This may require you to meal prep and plan ahead, but nourishing yourself like a successful entrepreneur is all part of how you're going to get to that 6-figure year that you're going for. The next one is probably, I would say, one of the most important ones, and that is holding better boundaries. And we can maybe expand this into standards and boundaries. So standards are what you accept as normal and good and okay, and what you don't. It's where your lines in the sand are. What will you do? What will you not do? What will you allow for your family? What will you not allow for your family? What is acceptable in your business? What is not acceptable in your business? And you could really break this down, like I said, in those 3 core areas, for yourself, for your family and your home, and then your business. Really get clear on what those yeses and nos are. And then the key here is to stand by them. So there were certain things that I had to do with my boundaries as I ramped up to my 6-figure year. One had to do with my boundaries, and specifically around what I would allow to happen in my business and what I wouldn't, how I wanted to interact with my clients, when they could communicate with me and when they couldn't communicate with me. Being available all the time whenever a client needed me, like jumping at the moment they messaged me or they needed something. That was a behavior I had to rewrite because I knew that being in that reactive state was negatively impacting how I was showing up to my business overall. Some other standards might be around like how much sleep you get a night. and also your like just general guidelines for your family of how you want to do life. Like, how much screen time are your kids going to get? How much screen time are you going to get? Do you need to put your phone away at the end of the day so you're not tempted to do work stuff in the evening? I had a client who she had, a successful, mature brick and mortar business with multiple locations, and it was doing fine, but she was taking her work home and it was impacting her relationship with her family. And so part of the work that we did was setting boundaries around her work. The successful CEO who is making the money she wants to make and also has the family life she wants, she has very clear standards and boundaries. And so I just want to encourage you to think about, if you were making $100,000 a year or more, what would you be doing and what would you no longer be doing, right? What behaviors would not be supportive of this version of you? And we all have certain habits and different things that we do that it works at the current level, but it will not work at the next one. So think on that. And then the final one is rewriting your relationship with money. This is a huge one that I see really impact women, and it can look a couple different ways. So the first one is if you've never made a lot of money, if you've never made, six figures in another career, in another form, you don't have that familiarity with it, you're not used to large amounts of money coming in, it may feel very uncomfortable and foreign. And sometimes what happens is that when we're not used to it, we push it away. You may not realize that you're doing that, but you may try to get rid of that money as fast as it came in, and then you have a leak. And so part of the work that I had to do as someone who always under-earned, I was a teacher and I worked in professions where I didn't make a whole lot of money. I had to really work on my money mindset and get comfortable with making larger sums of money on a monthly and annual basis. I had to build that comfort so that the money could just sit in my bank account and I wouldn't feel like I had to get rid of it as fast as it came in. This is a common thing that happens to entrepreneurs at the 6 and 7 figure mark if they have not done this work around their ability to hold the money. And the other part of this too is building the money management habits of someone who makes larger sums of money. So do you have a game plan for your money when it comes in? For me, what has been most helpful is following Profit First, which is a method by Mike Michalowicz, and he's written a book on it. You can find resources online. My bookkeeper, who works all with entrepreneurs, she helped me set it up all the way back in, I think, 2019 was when I started using that method. And it gives you percentages to divide your money into and making sure that you are paying yourself first, because this is something I've seen many entrepreneurs get into this pickle of having way too high of operating expenses and making all their business decisions for that first, and then they have no money left over for themselves and they're not paying themselves, or if they are, they're paying themselves very little, and that is such a recipe for burnout. And so making sure you are always paying yourself first, you're setting aside money for taxes, you have, tax strategy, and you know what you need to legally be doing. These are all really mature marks of a seasoned entrepreneur. Thinking about as more money comes in, are you going to invest it? What are the long-term goals of this amazing money that you're earning? How is it going to play into your family's legacy? And what do you want to do with it? Again, I've just seen far too many entrepreneurs earn huge, huge amounts of money, and they have nothing to show for it. It just went straight back out the window as fast as it came in. And so my goal for you is that you plan ahead, that you think intentionally about what you want to do with all of this money that you are earning. And this is a conversation that we've been having in the mastermind as well, thinking about legacy, thinking about the long term. And then the final part of this too is, as you're building toward your 6-figure year or beyond, are you surrounding yourself with other women who have similar financial goals? I've talked to a private client about this because it can be really challenging to find women who not only are entrepreneurs and mothers and also have high income goals. It's like that unicorn woman. We are out there, but it can be hard to find them, in your friend group and in your community. And so sometimes it takes being, intentional about finding those people as best as you can, whether that's in a local networking group or an entrepreneur group, or it's online, or it's in a space like my mastermind or someone else's mastermind. Surrounding yourself with powerful women is just such a huge catalyst. It was for me. And I've told this story before on the podcast, but I think it bears repeating. When I joined my first mastermind and I came into that and I was making maybe, $600 to $1,000 a month in my business, which was great. Like, I was super happy about that, but I knew I was capable of more. I came into that space and I saw these women were making $10,000 and $20,000 a month. And I was like, what? My jaw was just like on the proverbial floor. Like, this is possible? And they were just normal women, but they were just super savvy with money. They were smart with their business strategy. And the most important thing was they were getting after. Like, they weren't making excuses. They weren't holding back. They were doing what they needed to do while, some of them had jobs. Some of them had other jobs that they were doing. They were moms. They were involved in their communities. And so it gave me a really just incredible image of the woman who can hold all of that at such a high level without hustle, without burnout. And that was such a pivotal thing for me to witness. And it was almost like contagious, right? I saw them being like that. And then about 4 months into the mastermind, my income started going up. I had a $3,000 month. And then the next month I had a $12,000 month. And I was like, what? And again, it's just that, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they lifting you up? Are they encouraging you? Are they calling you forward? Or are they reinforcing limited and negative money beliefs that aren't helping you become that version of you that you feel so called to be? So these are some of my recommendations. Of course, there's many more, and you're going to figure out what your own unique formula is to your 6-figure year and beyond. And if you want my help figuring that out, mastering it, creating life-changing income for you and your family, but also in a way that supports your family life and doesn't take away from it, you definitely want to come into the next round of the Family Fueled CEO Mastermind. We are now enrolling and we are starting in January. We're going to hit it hard beginning of the year. We're going to do it right, and we're going to do it together as mom CEOs rising. So I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to check out more details about the mastermind, use the link in the show notes wherever you are listening on your podcast. Okay? I will see you soon.